Hello and welcome back to Project Prototech. Alright, so we last left off with me going ahead and building a little mining vessel. And it was having a little bit of trouble with its power supply. So I had to go back and rebuild that. Then of course, now a storm rolls in. Thank you, Mars. So I then went ahead and took it a few steps further and built myself an entire fully pressurized hangar for that miner. And beyond that, I decided that rather than making you guys sit down and watch me walk through the extension to Fortress Mars, I would go ahead and just do that off camera. In between all of that and just some wandering around, I did find this trade station right over here. And luckily for me, I was able to build some gravity components and make a hefty chunk of cash. Got 16 mil still in the bank. So, you know, now that visibility sucks, let's go ahead and take a quick tour. So, out front here, right here is where the front of the ship was as of last episode. I left this wheel on kind of as a reference point. And I used a pair of pistons here to just kind of jack the ship, the vessel up. Ow. So that way I could go ahead and raise it up and get these additional wheels on. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and just grind this wheel off.
Inventory full.
Thank you. I have also totally not killed myself more than once, you know, flying around this monstrosity. Totally. Not even once. Alright. So, going in with the whole visibility scheme, here are the cargo containers and the refineries, and then we'll get to somewhere where we have actual visibility. I have a pair of pressurized airlocks. So the airlocks are actually set to depressurize. And then that brings us back here into this little hangar. You can see the miner barely fits. And I ended up having to go ahead and reduce this to a single modular cargo container. But by doing that, I could put these two large atmospheric thrusters on with a battery slapped to each side. And then I've got 6 of these little Atmo thrusters on the front. And then 2 large Atmos on each side and the back of the ship. I have my little ejector system at the bottom here. And then beyond that, I guess I broke that off at some point. One moment. Let's put the catwalk back on. Oh, I thought I picked that up. There we go. Alright. So I've got a nice lovely little catwalk set up right here, which gets me close enough that I can actually get in the ship without needing a jetpack, or having to walk all the way down the stairs. Coming in here, I have my hangar open and close. So I've got it set on a timer, so it will go ahead and try and depressurize the hangar for about 5 seconds before it opens. And then, as you can see, we just barely squeeze on through. We could actually probably squeeze through a single gate if I had either a top or bottom mounted connector, but there just isn't enough room for me to feel comfortable doing a single high gate for this little miner. Well, I've got the rear connector. See here. Beyond that, somewhere around here, I had seen a rock. Oh my lordy. I can't see anything. So, you know what? Let's just pretend that I went out mining, came back. Yeah. Let's actually just... Whoa, don't run into my ship. Head on over to this trade station. So with the trade station here, it is of course in a safe zone. A fun little note here is I have this miner rigged up with an event controller. The event controller will go ahead and turn off the thrusters, gyros, set the battery to recharge, turn off the antenna, and I think a couple other things. This is all well and good. And it does that when the connector locks or the connector unlocks. However, something about that will notice that the connector is locking when it's connecting to this little connector on the trade station, but it doesn't know that it disconnects from the trade station. Which means that I had a fun experience of using this whole thing to move some gravity components on over that I built for a contract, and then promptly falling. Luckily, it was in the safe zone, so nothing was damaged, because my event controller didn't turn back on. So, that is now on the hotbar. And we can come on over here and dock. I also have a rear camera for this, and you will see that I also have a forward-facing camera for this little ship. There we go. Alright. So, as you can see, everything is still running. Woo! Let me turn my jetpack on. And then I can come into the trade station and do whatever I want. Interesting. That one's broken? Huh. And now we can come on in, see what's in the store. Bunch of meal packs in case I needed them, med kits, platinum. I am actually thinking about picking up some platinum. And then uranium, also important. So because I was able to, get 16 mil, okay, I can't afford all the uranium, but I did purchase 50 uranium off of this, so I can now also set up a small reactor on my ship. How much platinum do I need to upgrade my tools to tier 3? Huh. Whoa! I forgot, I have crew enabled. So there's people. Okay, that was creepy. Moving on. I don't have any active contracts. Ooh, well, I am not giving it my magnesium powder. I'm gonna need that. I probably could, do another half mil from silver. Motors, that's easy. Is that worth spending some time on? For 3/4 of a mil, yeah. We'll grab some motors. Do I give up some of my magnesium powder? Nah, I'm gonna keep all my magnesium powder. Alright, so let's go ahead. Oh, hello, buddy. And come on over here. And when I come in and choose tools, I need a platinum ingot, and so 3 platinum. So if I do 3 platinum, and then I need to, find my contracts, build 352 motors. You know what? I'll build 1,000. I'll build 2,000. Anyways, so one of the things that I did find also with this vessel was it was so fat that I needed some extra oomph to get me up the hills, which is why there's some atmospheric thrusters up at the top. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm building my motors. There's a zombie infestation on the ground over here. Lovely. So I want to buy 3 platinum, and then I will come back with the motors. And probably do that off screen. 400,000. Worth it. Alrighty. Now, I come back all the way to the top. Whee. Ooh, do I go grab that unknown signal? Or does that get me too close to that cult shit? Also, just as a little demonstration of the miner, what is this? I believe it's cobalt? Yeah, it looks like cobalt. Here. Let's just do a quick little mining run, and we can show you how it performs. And as you can see, I am just pooping out all of the extra stone, and I have enough ejectors there that it more or less keeps up with the stone, and I don't need to worry about too much, or don't need to worry about my ejectors not keeping up with my drills. And I can fill this bad boy all the way up, including the drills, and it will still fly. Provided, of course, you know, I can fly. Alright, good enough. Anyways, can always use more cobalt. As you can see, flying is a little bit harder when this is heavily burdened. But, you know, it's still more than capable of doing it. The next thing that I will note is that even though I decided to go ahead and grab those motors, I cannot actually grab the motors from my hangar bay. And the reason is I have that ore sorter there. So that means that this thing will dock, it automatically unloads all the ores, but I can't go ahead and use this little connector to put ores back into, or put anything back into the little ship. So just something that, you know, you do need to be aware of if this is your only vessel. And then I can just use my camera to come on down. There we go. And I can then pop on down here, toss those in, and then come on over and grab the tier 3 tools. Alrighty. And with that, I need to put them on my hotbar, and that will make doing things a little bit faster. Alright. Ow. Alright, so now that I'm in here, okay, we can see that it has emptied out the cargo, so I can go ahead and come on out here, load it up with those motors. You can see I was doing a little bit of experimenting with some sort of like wheel wells of some sort. And then drop those off. So, while I do that, I'll be back shortly. And then we'll get on to the main bit of what I wanted to do today, which is start getting ready to do things like raid that Imber supply cache. So, we'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty. So, very different world, I know, but this is the Wyvern, and this is how I intend to go ahead and take on all the various atmospheric bases. Now, I could, of course, go ahead and try and build something in survival in front of you guys. However, this took me a few too many hours to design, and you don't really need to see all of that on screen. The number one most important thing, though, for any small grid vehicle is you have to be able to repair or rebuild it as fast as possible. So because of that, I need something that I can print off. And that's where the Wyvern comes in. So if you are using a large grid welder, it goes up basically one large block or 5 small grid blocks. So the Wyvern here, you can see, is a grand total, that was a little loud, of 10 blocks high. So that means that when I go ahead and build it, if I go ahead and have a set of welders underneath and then a set of welders above, I can basically just kind of push or pull this thing straight through those welders and it will build. Next up for important measurements, one second, let me just remove that and that, is that this is going to be a grand total of 31 blocks long. So that's a bit over 6 large grid blocks, which means that I need to be able to pull it back 6 blocks, or I need to shove it in a welding bay that is 6 blocks long. One of these things is far more likely to happen than the other, and I'm definitely going to go ahead and try and set this up to be pulled through rather than just shove it in, let the whole thing build, and then have to figure out how I'm getting in past all the welders. Next up, the Wyvern is going to be 29 blocks wide, which again comes out to be about, 6 blocks wide. So this means that if I have a section that is 6 or maybe 7 blocks wide of welders, and then I've got, the 2 block gap between the welders, I can go ahead and push the projection through or pull it out in a way to go ahead and automatically print this. Additionally, as long as I go ahead and make that printing base something that I can fly through, after combat, I can go ahead and, as mentioned, fly through it to go ahead and repair anything damaged that I took on the ship. So, that is the consideration for, what I need to put on my rover for this ship to function. Next up, let's go ahead and walk through the ship design here. So, the core component of this ship is the fact that I know that I suck at small grid combat, and therefore, rather than wanting like direct fire Gatling turrets, or Gatling guns, I want turrets. And the more turrets, the better. Additionally, I want to be able to have some direct fire weaponry that lets me try and snipe. And that's where we come in. And you can see that I started out with 3 assault cannons, all centered around a central camera. And then I just decided to go ahead and add some teeth for decorative greebling. And that's how it became the Wyvern. I was thinking about some parody of dragon, but, it doesn't have 4 arms, so, Wyvern it is. Moving on then, I just went ahead and, finished making the head, because it looks cool. And then the big thing here is I went ahead and I put the cockpit, and the cockpit is not at the front of the ship. It is set back. I am hoping that by doing this, my cockpit is less likely to get shot out. We'll find out together whether that actually works. Down below, you can see right here is the back of the assault cannon, and the length of this assault cannon is why this head is so long. When we go ahead and we put it down here, you can see that the assault cannon by itself is 9 blocks long. So, that's the first hard limiter for size and why the ship is as long as it is. Moving on to the next part, you can see that I went ahead and I put the turret on top and then decided, heck with it, let me just do a little bit of greebling. Do note this is all light armor, because I figure that, the ship's going to get blown to scrap anyways, and light or running heavy armor just means that I'm going to have even more thrust than I already have on this monstrosity. You can see here I have a conveyor separator, a conveyor junction, a single medium cargo hold. This is the only cargo for the ship. And then I have another conveyor separator leading up to another conveyor separator, which is what this turret is attached to. Then coming on over, just trying to figure out how many batteries I can fit in. I ended up fitting in 8, as well as a whole bunch of gyros. They are all located right along the bottom here. And then for upwards thrust, I have these 2 large atmospheric thrusters. Then, kind of filling it out, I just kind of armored it in, filled out the shape a little bit, figured that I want some sort of little tail here, but didn't figure out exactly what. And then, because I named it the Wyvern and I wanted more than 1 Gatling turret, I created these little wings. The wings exist here specifically for me to go ahead and fit 2 more Gatling turrets on it. Anything else beyond that was basically just a bonus, but I had to go ahead and stick it out enough that I could fit these Gatlings on here and, not just make it a brick. So with that, I also opened up some space, so I went ahead and put 3 Gatling direct fire on each side. So I can either go ahead and blast something with my assault cannons, or I can direct fire with Gatling and hope something happens. Now, I know some people might mention why Gatling autocannon is better. You're not wrong. However, for me, I am more concerned with just putting massive amount of fire down range and hoping that something hits than actually having to aim, because that's about where my skill level's at. Beyond that, you can see I went ahead and I started tucking in some other thrusters. There are 5 forward thrusters on each side for a total of 10. Coming around to the side, I was able to fit 4 side thrusters on the end of the wing, another 4 down beneath, and then 3 up above. You will note when I come in here with the build vision that this, no matter how much this rotates, the Gatling turret is not going to get hit by the thrusters, even though it's pointing directly at them. Alright, moving on, you can see here I just kind of finished in forming the wings. So this is the completed wings, completed belly. I did put some landing gear around the connector just in case, as well as a docking camera. And basically just a lot of armor shaping going on. However, you will note here that I went ahead and I stuck 8 forward thrusters on right here. Moving on to this one, you can see I went ahead and filled out this little back tail section with 2 more large atmospheric thrusters, which means that this actually has more forward thrust than it has upwards thrust, despite me sneaking in another 4 small atmospheric thrusters in down here. Additionally, you will note that this is where the merge block is located. So I'm going to be going ahead and putting a projector on, behind a merge block, and then, this is where the rest of the ship is going to get built out from. And we will just have to hope that, it builds properly, because that's the part that I haven't tested yet. The other thing is I took the cockpit out here so you can see what I shoved in here. So I have the projector located right here. There's an event controller for dock-undock. There's a pair of action relays in case I decided to stick this in a hangar. I can have open and close. A remote control in case I need to remote control the vessel. And then AI defensive, AI flight, AI task basic, AI offensive, and AI recorder. So if I wanted to go ahead and turn this thing into a drone, I could. Additionally, even though I have the single camera right here, I did also go ahead and put another 2 cameras up here just in case it gets shut off. Finally, you will note that there is a decoy block located right here, and then there's another decoy block located right there. Then there are decoy blocks on the wings outside of the Gatling turrets, and then, or the Gatling guns, and then outside the Gatling turrets. Just, in the faint hope that I can distract some of the fire that's going to be coming at the ship. Finally, you can see that I went ahead and I, put my cockpit back, started fiddling with things, and then this was the final design with the paint job. Decided to go ahead and give it a nice little electric blue color, some yellow highlights, and then of course the red mouth with the white teeth, because you got to go with that. I also of course have the red lighting in the mouth because you got to do that. Back here I've got the red and green lights, so if you come up behind it, you know which side you're on. And then there is finally a single belly light located right here, just to help light up anywhere that I happen to be landing. The eyes are actually spotlights, and they are set to full, max range. And then, just some other cool lighting effects. So this is what I ended up building, and this is what I'm now going to go ahead and attempt to print. So, let's see how that works. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Alright, so we are back. I waited out the storm by going ahead and just welding that conveyor all the way forward. But it is time for me to go ahead and do 2 other things. First, let me go ahead and get that little reactor that I had built on this ship. And of course, let's do a small warfare reactor. This just means that I shouldn't have to worry about any further power issues, provided that I can continue to afford to purchase some more uranium, and as long as it remains in stock. That or, plunder some uranium. There we go. So, power problem solved. Now, let's go ahead and come on down here Alright, so parking is released, parking is engaged. I want this thing to be parked. Let's go ahead and reverse those pistons on down. And then let's go ahead and grab those wheels. And for all of them, I want to go ahead and just reset everything really quick. Let's go ahead and raise that up to like 30-ish. And then reset the height offset to about a meter. Woo! And we can just kind of keep everything else there. And then I want to go ahead and change these rear wheels to not do steering, and then the front mid wheels to go ahead and have a steering angle of, like, say 5 degrees. And then now I should be able... Yes, I can very, very slowly turn. I think if I actually go ahead and check those wheels again, and I add steering to this and change it to, like, say 10. Let's check and see if I can go ahead and turn around for that unknown signal that's coming down. Yes, I can. Perfect. Alright, so the fortress is on the move, and on this nice flat terrain, you can see that, you know, it doesn't have too much issue. I will note I did also stick a pair of gyros on this ship, so we've got that to help us in case of emergency. Alright, now let's go ahead, and now that the fortress is mobile again, woo, brake, brake. Oh, I couldn't quite get it to land on the deck. Too scared. Yep. Alright, so let's go ahead and just see. I am currently missing vegetables, so if I can get vegetables, I'll be very happy. Oh, nothing. No, more grain seeds. And some expired slop. Ew. Other than that, yeah, it's not worth it. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about what we are going to do with installing the printing bay. So first things first is to go ahead and take out these pistons.
Inventory full.
Dump that. Alright. So, as we mentioned, I need to go ahead and have a space that is at least 7, well, minimum 6, but preferably 7 long. And then I can make it, you know, as wide as I want, but there's not really much reason to. So the question then is, do I go ahead and do that kind of like in this big central area where I've widened it out? Or should I go ahead and put the printer bay, say, you know, maybe up here or up over towards the front? Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright, so I do have this wide enough that I could go ahead and set that up right there. But that feels like that would be a waste for this way. Whereas if I go ahead and I set the printer bay to be kind of in the front of the ship, and you know what, while I'm doing this, let me go ahead and take my anti-radiation med kit. There we go. Alright. And if I just... 4, 5, 6. Alright, so that isn't quite long enough. Unless I go up above the wheels. Which, you know, I'm perfectly okay doing. And then... let's go... say 1 higher. Yeah. Alright, and then if I come in here, I can go ahead and swap these out for, or I can swap something out for a T, and then I want to have basically welders located right here. And actually, let me change that angle. That way they are all conveyored together. And this still leaves, if I go ahead and I replace this with like a passage of some sort, I could still go ahead and like walk underneath and put like a cockpit or something, or the bridge on the front of the ship, which is something I would appreciate a lot more than you know, the little cockpit sitting on the back. Yeah, and then I can come on in here and okay, let's go ahead and make this like an air vent or something like that. And if I check, so these are airtight on the bottom but not on the sides, which isn't necessarily a big deal. Turn that off. Yeah. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. And then I can come in here and change this out for a T. Actually, let's also go ahead and grab that and that. There we go. Alright, so that is now conveyored up. And then conveyor up the welder. And then, you know what, let's turn it on. Right. And then let's turn this one on. And yeah, in case you weren't aware, the welders can actually weld something that's kind of next to them. So, yeah, neat little trick. Alright, so those are now, actually before I do anything else, let me go ahead and find all these welders and turn them off before I commit suicide by welder again. Wait, did I say again? No, totally. I never have done that ever in my life. Nope. Nope, not at all. Alright, so let's see here. I come in here, I can do something like this. Actually, if I do this, and I can just kind of set something up like that, little channel that goes down. That'll leave me some space under that.
Low.
Woo! Oh boy.
Low health.
Anyways, you saw nothing. Nothing at all.
Energy low.
Oh, gotta turn dampeners on when I respawn. Alright. And then I can also go ahead and cut this out. And then replace this with some warfare doors going on back. Alright, so that's going to be that setup, and I just realized that might have made a small mistake. Do I need to move that air vent forwards one? No, because I can go ahead and just, you know, stick a rotor, say, right here. No, I want... Alright, so what I need to do is I need to have something that will come up, but it needs to go 6 across. I almost wonder if it would be better to go ahead and put the welders kind of on one side. Because if I were to go ahead and like just stick the welders down this side, I could go ahead and have pistons that kind of draw it all the way across. Yes, that is the smarter way of doing things. Let's do it that way.
Fuel low.
Oh yes, the whole reason I started this in the first place.
Fuel critical.
Thank you. And let's actually wander back here really quick. Because I have the refill station, which will happily refill my bottles for me, because I have the bottle automatic refill mode on. There we go. Alright. So let's go ahead and do that. And then also while I'm over here, let me just check really quick my ice situation. I am doing fine. I can but I am running low on hydrogen. So let's go ahead and grab that. Yeah, okay. So, reevaluate. It would be better for me to go ahead and stick the welders on this side, and then I can stick like a rotor or something on this side. Ow, that one hurt. Really? And then I can go ahead and have like a piston that will draw all the way across from over here. Yes, that makes a lot more sense. Alright, so in that case, let's go ahead and grab these welders. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 7. So those will all weld up right there. And oh, okay. Don't care. That was just the unknown signal exploding. Alrighty, so now I need to go ahead and come on over here with a conveyor. Yeah. And let me just go ahead and shift this air vent forward one. Turn my lights on so that way everybody can see something.
Inventory full.
There we go. And then I just weld across. Alrighty. Time now to go ahead and build this welder. Okay, and then just grab all the welders, turn them on. Oh, haha. There we go. Alright, fine. Come on. There we go. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I've got 7, so I can actually swap this out really quick for a regular old conveyor junction. And that will let me then go up. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm out of small steel tubes. Okay. I think at this point I probably need to find somewhere to go ahead and stick a programmable block and put ISIs on. So that way I can make sure that I always have enough on hand to build out, ooh, a hauler wreck. Cool. Build out my fighters, or to repair them, whatever the case may be. And I have this lovely little corner right here for like a programmable block or two. Alright, moving on. Load this? No? Whatever. I'll just weld it really quick. There. Alright, so now I need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Two, three. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then here I can go ahead and grab another conveyor junction. Deborah, leave me alone. Come on. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Alrighty. Oh, and before I do that, let me come on in here and do welders and turn them on. Also, actually, let me... There we go. Alrighty. So, the welder is on. And it starts welding the next one. And that one starts welding the next one. There we go. Alright, so I have the full welder wall done. I can go ahead and just like close that in somehow. And then I will be able to fly through that. But first, let me go ahead and come on in here and just FM welders. Did I not hit the right button? Printer bay off. There we go. Alrighty then. So now that I've done that, the next thing that I need to do is I need to go ahead and have something that shifts to small grid. And let me actually just go ahead and just cut this out. Which means a rotor. And I can just use a normal rotor and just stick that right there. And orientation for this does not matter, because basically what I'm going to do is rotor, and let's just call that FM print rotor. I want to add a small head, and then I want to just add a bunch of braking torque and no actual torque, because I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so might as well build it out. Alright, so what I'm going to need to do then is I'm going to need to have a contraption that can, and I said it was 29 wide, so I need to come out 29, 30, 31, 30, 32 small blocks. And then actually I am going to have it turn on, because I want it to be able to basically like rotate to the side when it's not in use, and then rotate into place when it's time to print a new one. Alright, let me just go ahead and grab a bunch of blocks to get the rough approximation of height. So 1, 2. So this starts basically. You know what? Let me just stick this here. Alright, so that one is basically at the same level as this. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So this is going to put it at about the middle. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, that was a noise. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so basically this is just making it even with this block. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's put this here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So this would be the 29 blocks over. 31, 32. So if I just go ahead and stick that there, 33, 34, 35. Okay, and then that is basically the end of the printer bay. So that means that I could go ahead and basically move down another 2 to here, and then another 2 to here. So this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this will be basically the middle. Alright, let me come on and just sit down for a moment. So printer rotor, let's actually go ahead and just put that torque back up, because it's going to be used. Hello, overly noisy block. Alright, so when you have a small piston, it extends out basically 4 blocks. So I need something that will extend out from here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll call it 16. So I need 4 pistons out. And that's going to be in little blocks of 2. So if I put that right here, I can basically do 2 pistons, snake back, and 2 pistons. Okay. Let's go ahead. Alrighty, so from here we want to go ahead and have a small grid piston. Hi, ghosty friends. And let's use the square one because it looks cool. And then I do not need any sort of conveyance for this, so let me just go ahead and then snake back this way. Ooh, it's not gonna let me. How do I want to do that then? Can I do it on top? Nope. Okay. What is going to let me put that? And still have the pistons work. Let me just check my small blocks really quick, because I don't want to do a half block because that's going to run into effectively the same issue. Let's see here. I could come back with blast doors. And do 1, 2, 3. Or and then 1 and 2. Okay. So that is going to give me enough to extend out to the center. Let's go ahead and just weld all this up and test that. I'm good on hydrogen. So let's come stand on top of this. Suppose I could have done the small conveyor tubes instead, but whatever. Alright, so let's fly back on over here and search for pistons. And I'm going to name these enter piston printer piston centering. Okay. So effectively what these things are going to be trying to do is they are going to be trying to put the piston array into the center of this little contraption area. And taking a look, that's more or less where they are. You know, I could probably have pulled it back by one, but meh, whatever. I can always, if I have trouble, just look at setting the max distance to be slightly less. Alright, so now what I need to do is I need to come off of this one. Oh, shoot. Nope, I can't come off of this one because I need to go ahead and have something that pushes back this way, then out, and then forwards. Alright, you know what? I'll be back once I correct that. Alright, and welcome back. I have spent far too long fiddling with this printer. I started out with a rotor right here, and then small grid pistons, and it ended up just being a wobbly mess. So I switched to a single large grid printer, going to a hinge, and then a pair of small grid printers. I do not have the projector set up yet, but this is what it's going to look like. I start printing, and it's going to bring that up. It's going to turn these on. The timer runs for a few seconds, and then it's going to start drawing itself back. I will also note that it's going to open those gates when it does so, just in case the ship sticks out a little bit. Once we are done getting all the way back, which hopefully is enough, then I can hop into the ship, and then once I am in the ship itself, I can hit the button to unmerge. Once I have unmerged, then it should automatically trigger the final step, which temporarily I can go ahead and trigger off this button, which will then reset this back into kind of its little resting position here. So, let's go ahead, get out of the sun, and find that projector. Let's turn it on. Let's go to blueprints. Let's go to Wyvern. Alright, and now let's spin this around. Okay, so looks like I need to do a full rotation of this. Projector. So I believe that is... Nope. Yaw. Nope. Pitch. Vertical offset. Okay, let's see. That would be merged up correctly, but it is upside down. Okay. Projector. If I go ahead and yaw it, nope. If I roll it, there we go. But now I need to adjust so that the merge block is on. Projector. The vertical. Perfect. Okay, so that would now do that for me. Goodbye. Ah! Goodbye to you too, please. Goodbye. Anyways. Now then, let me just go ahead and make sure that there is no way that I could possibly have Alright, so that's everything. Okay. So, coming in here, let me go ahead and make sure that I have enough of everything. Which basically just means... Alright, so I should have enough steel plates, should have enough computers. Let me add in a bunch of small steel tubes. Let's see here. Displays, I should be good. Girders and metal grids, I don't know. Actually, I probably don't need 3,000 metal grids. You know what, let's do a bunch of displays. Radio components, I should be good. Ooh, I need more power cells. So I've got 8, and they're 20 each. Yeah, that should be enough power cells. Large steel tubes. Let's just get a bunch of those just in case. Bulletproof glass. How am I on that? I should have more than enough for how little I'm using. Computers. Where are my computers? Yep, I'm good on them. Detector components should be good on them. This is another one of those things that Izzy's would do really nicely for. Interior plates. Let's just add a bunch of those in. Motors. This is the most important one. 2,000 motors. That should be enough, but oh boy, atmospheric ships go through so many motors. Power cells already went over. Radio components I should be good on, but let's just toss a few more in just in case. I already did the small steel tubes. Steel plates, definitely don't want to run out of those, but I should be good. However, let's just toss a few of those on. Alright, so once that is all done, I will go ahead and test out that print. So I will be back when my assembler is done running. Alrighty, waited out the weather. I'm still not done producing everything, but I think I've got enough. So let's go ahead and test. Alrighty. So turns out that the system can't handle what even happened to that? Oh my. Um, Alright. Well, I need to have something, or some way to turn off the thrusters. Let me just check that none of this was damaged either. Okay. Well, basically what was going on there is the thrusters decided that they really didn't like me. So let's go ahead and try, and then do that again. And if this doesn't work, then I will look at building like a little projector tug. Oh hey, there's some more that got over there. Fun. Alright. Alright, so let me go back into my timers. Piston. That will move to 2 at, yeah, sure. Hinge positioned. Projector to be on, and then I want to set and move to 0 at a speed of 0.1, and then projector to be off, and then piston set and move to 0 at a speed of sure 5. That's fine. Alright. Let me now just go in and rename my piston. Make sure that it's doing share inertial tensor. Let's just put the base on share inertial tensor 2. Then hinge, that's on shared inertia tensor. And then we need to go ahead and go back into the projector for the blueprints for the wyvern. And then let's go ahead and draw it. Forward offset. Nope. Undo the roll. There we go. Forward offset of, say, 32. And then let's just come in and check. And let's see how badly this explodes on me this time. Alright, let's go into the piston base and turn off shear inertial tensor there. Okay. Let's just reverse this and reverse these. I don't know what exactly is going on here, but I do know that I need to get out of the sun. Okay, why is it not printing? And 05. Okay. It looks like everything is printing. Ah. Point one. Alrighty. Well, I think maybe it's fully printed. Let's go ahead and check it out. Small merge block. Let's see. Alright. What is... Alright. So I am disconnected. I have 23 minutes of power. Let me find my projector. Blueprints. Wyvern. Alright, looks like it is fully assembled. Ow, ow. Alright. Let me hit this button. And then try backing out. I am well and truly stuck on something, so I guess I'm gonna have to chalk up the ship printer as a failure. For this particular ship. And I will need to look at like a welder wall or something like that. Alright. Oh, it's stuck on something on the bottom too. Oh no, the landing gear locked. Okay. There we go. Projector. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at my Wyvern. Okay. Looks like everything is there. It's nice and maneuverable. I do not have any ammo for my guns. You know, actually, let's go ahead and just try checking out that D2 hauler wreck. And then there is a turret on top of it, so you know what? Let's not. Whee! Or at a minimum, not until we get our ammo. Alrighty, so let's come on over here and try landing. And I have my landing camera located right here. Okay, careful going down because it wants to go down really fast. Alrighty. Alright. And there we go. We are now landed, docked, whatever you want to call it, and we have our fighter. Alright. Well, I think that this is a good place to call this episode because it has gone very, very long. I need to rethink what exactly I am doing with that, what's it called? For ship printing and repair. But aside from that, I'm going to call this a somewhat success. So, if you watched all the way to the end of this nonsense, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.